Hello and welcome. You're watching Beyond World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and these are the headlines at this hour.
I don't think anybody should be able to charge a fee for the straight or for any other straight relationship in terms of other sections of the world.
The American President Donald Trump makes a U-turn in less than 24 hours and abruptly scraps his planned 20% levy on ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz amidst clashes with Iran, says that no one should charge a fee for transiting the Hormuz. The US military's Central Command releases a video claiming to show jets taking off and also landing on the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier as the US and Iran launch a new wave of attacks on each other. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu warns Tehran not to attack Israel, saying that Israel will retaliate more forcefully than it has done in the previous rounds of fighting along with the United States against Iran. The Gaza Civil Defense Agency and a hospital says that at least 8 more Palestinians, including a woman, have been killed in an Israeli bombing on a police station in northern Gaza Strip. The French President Emmanuel Macron greets a crowd after his last Bastille Day parade before he would demit office in 2027. France's next presidential elections will be held in April and early May next year. And at least 2 people are dead in a fire in a Brussels residential tower undergoing renovation. A number of workers found themselves trapped in a lift as the blaze spread through the lift shaft. And Russia has launched 2 cosmonauts and an American astronaut to the International Space Station from Kazakhstan. It has resumed its crewed flights from a recently repaired astronaut launch pad with a rare joint attendance by the heads of NASA and Russia's space agency. The heavy rains from Typhoon Bavi battered parts of northeastern China, triggering floods, river warnings and emergency evacuations across Liaoning and Jilin provinces. All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on Beyond at this hour. The uncertainty in West Asia and also the sporadic attacks by both the United States and Iran has once again put the world on the edge. After just days of a delicate ceasefire, but the ramifications are also being felt by the Americans, at least according to the latest Reuters Ipsos poll. The latest survey from the past weekend says that nearly 79% of the Americans believe that the Iran war will actually go on for an extended period of time. This number is up from the 69% in late March, and only 18% of the Americans believe that it will end in weeks. Furthermore, only 37 Americans polled approve of the latest US strikes on Iran, while 58% have disapproved of it. When it comes to domestic ramifications, 60% of the Americans feel that gas prices will get worse after a year, and only about 15% feel that it will get better, while 16% feel that it will stay the same. This poll, remember, has been conducted before the US President's statement on exercising control over the Strait of Hormuz and charging a 20% fee for safe navigation. Now, Donald Trump on Monday positioned the United States as the guardian of the Maritime Passage and announced a fresh naval blockade on Iran. Now, Iran was quick to respond to Donald Trump's statement. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi used Trump's own words to mock him and to legitimize Iran's position as the guardian of the strait. But Araghchi also said in a statement that Iran will be rational in the amount of fee that it charges, saying, and I quote him here, 20% fee for transit through the Strait of Hormuz is way too much. But for the Americans, the conversation is not just about the war in West Asia, it's also about the upcoming midterm elections. Now, 2 years after Donald Trump won the presidency on the promise of better economic conditions and no American involvement in these forever foreign wars, between the campaign promises of 2024 and the reality in 2026, a lot has changed in American politics. And we earlier spoke with Professor Giorgio Caffero, who's a professor at Georgetown University and the CEO at Gulf State Analytics. He joined us live from Washington, D.C. Listening to what he had to say.
U.S. is caught in this Iranian trap of escalation, and this is not popular in the United States, I think really as a consequence of the wars that took place after 9/11, so-called war on terror that brought the United States into these quagmires in Iraq and Afghanistan. The American public, by and large, is very skeptical about arguments that it is in the U.S. national interest to enter or start these protracted conflicts in West Asia. And we generally, we definitely know that the vast majority of Americans really saw this war that the U.S. and Israel carried out against Iran in late February as a war of choice, not one that was necessary for the vital U.S. national security interests.
این سخنانی که من ملت ایران میگویم به نیابت از رئیس مجلس، هیئت رئیس و همه نمایندگان است که قرائت میکنیم پیام اماممون یعنی مو به مو به این پایبند هستیم. این جنایتکاران که فهرستی از صدر تا ذیلشان موجود است، آرزوی مرگی آرام و در بستر را با خود به گور خواهند برد. آنها باید بدانند که این امر متوقف بر وجود شخص من یا سایر مسئولان نیست. ما باشیم یا نباشیم این مطلب محقق خواهد شد و به زودی آحادی از آزادگان در سراسر دنیا هر یک بخشی از این مأموریت الهی را انجام خواهند داد. همه نمایندگان مجلس شورای اسلامی با پیامشون با رهبر عزیز پیمان می‌بندند.
مرگ بر آمریکا، مرگ بر آمریکا، آمریکا. آقا علی خزایی، انتقام، بیای برسر، بیای برسر، انتقام، 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 مرگ بر آمریکا. نسازش، نه تسلیم، انتقام، انتقام، نسازش، نه تسلیم، انتقام، انتقام، نسازش، نه تسلیم، انتقام، نسازش، نه تسلیم.
So the war that is unfolding in West Asia at this moment is about who controls the Strait of Hormuz. The United States and Iran have been ramping up their attacks against each other to assert control over the strait, threatening a return to a possible all-out war. In the latest, Iran has now unleashed its advanced ballistic missile arsenal under Operation Nasr 2. The IRGC claims to have fired Fatah Khyber Shikan, Fatah 110, Zulfiqar missiles towards the American bases in Gulf in retaliation to the American attacks. Now, according to the Iranian state-run IRNA news agency, the Bushehr's deputy governor for Political and Security Affairs has said that 4 separate locations across the southwestern city were hit. Reports say that these areas host key nuclear facilities and they were bombed by these hostile projectiles. on Tuesday afternoon. Tehran believes that it oversees the strait and has signaled its intention to levy a fee on any commercial vessels that seek to transit the route. On Monday, the American President Donald Trump sought to tilt the balance. He reimposed a blockade on Iran and declared that the United States, for its part, controls the Strait of Hormuz. But Trump also said that Washington will charge ships for safe passage through the waterway. Trump is also demanding that Gulf allies should reimburse the United States for the cost of now securing the strait. He specifically named Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain and Kuwait as the countries that need to pay up for Americans keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. The world has long considered the strait, which passes the coastlines of Iran and Oman, a free-to-use international waterway. And now both Iran and the United States want to control it and to exact tolls from it. Iran says that its parliament is already working on a legislation that is aimed at securing the strait. Ibrahim Azizi, the head of the Iranian parliament's National Security Committee, has said that Tehran remains unwavering in defending its red lines, particularly when it comes to the management of the waterway. Iran's message has come hours after the American president declared that the United States will be the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz.
We'll become the guardian of the strait. Maybe we'll call it the guardian angel of the strait. And we should be reimbursed for that. When we do that, we're going to be reimbursed because the other nations are very wealthy. They're on our side. And we can't be expected to do that for nothing, unlike we had for many years. You know, we guarded the strait for 50 years more, and we never got paid for it. They made all the money, and the United States was just, they wouldn't. It's amazing. We guarded it for nothing. And now we're going to guard it, and we're going to get paid for guarding it, a lot of money. But we just want to be reimbursed for doing all of this, for putting our people in danger. But we're really not putting people, we're really saving people.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi was pretty quick to use Trump's own words to mock him and to legitimize Iran's position. He wrote on X, and I quote, "POTUS is absolutely right. Whoever provides security and safe passage for commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz should be compensated for the service. Iran has always been the guardian of the strait and will remain so forever." Araghchi then added that 20% as toll is just simply way too much. The Brazilian President Lula da Silva took a much harsher line, accusing the United States of having turned into a pirate state. He called the plan neither democratic nor civilized, saying that it is abnormal to profit from a crisis at others' expense. The new U.S. plan echoes an earlier Iranian claim that said that it might charge tolls that could actually reach as high as about $2 million per vessel. The United States had opposed it then. Hormuz carries close to a fifth of the world's oil and LNG trade, and any toll, whether from Washington or Tehran, will end up becoming a tax on global energy shipments, raised on nations who have little say in it. Now, according to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas that was established in 1982, no country has the right to claim international waters, and all ships have the right to unimpeded passage. And yet both Iran and the United States have been using tools to exert control over the strait and to constrain traffic.
If Iran shoots at ships, we will immediately respond with force. U.S. military operations are a response to these threats in self-defense and defense of others. Furthermore, as Secretary Rubio stressed during his trip to the region last month, the United States will continue to stand with our partners in the region. Make no mistake, this is not a talking point. It is a commitment that we will back and are backing with action. The United States stands with our partners in the Gulf, and we stand with the Republic of Yemen government against the Iranian-supported Houthi terrorist threat. We remain committed to working with Council members to use all available tools, including sanctions, to support a peaceful resolution to the conflict in Yemen and to safeguard international peace and security. And finally, we once again urge the Council to communicate to Iran unequivocally that these unambiguous actions are contrary to international law and are unacceptable. On July 3rd, an Iranian flight from Tehran arrived in Sana'a in the Houthi-controlled territory. The purpose of this flight was to ferry IRGC personnel, including drone and missile experts, in support of Houthi terrorism, under the guise of transporting Houthi officials to the late Supreme Leader's funeral. This kind of support enables the Houthis to terrorize the Yemeni people and threaten freedom of navigation in the Red Sea and surrounding waterways. We have not seen Iran attempt such outwardly brazen support for the Houthis since the 2015 aborted Mahan air flights to Sana'a. In fact, Houthi leaders publicly celebrated the recent flight as a successful evasion of international efforts to isolate the terrorist group. These actions constitute a violation of Security Council Resolution 2216. Resolution 2216 prohibits the supply, sale, or transfer of arms and related material, technical assistance, training, or other support to the Houthis related to military activities or the use of arms and related material, including drones and missiles. The United States has repeatedly called out this long-running record of violations. For nearly a decade, and with Iranian assistance, the Houthis have steadily demonstrated increasing military sophistication, including through frequent cross-border drone and missile attacks and reported use of cluster munitions. That mounting capability is in itself evidence that the Houthis have received external support in violation of the targeted arms embargo. Moreover, this morning, a second Iranian flight entered Yemen despite explicit public instructions from the Republic of Yemen government not to do so. The Islamic Republic of Iran's willful disregard for the sovereignty of Yemen and the collective decisions of this council is simply unacceptable. Similarly, we have seen Iran's blatant disregard of Security Council Resolution 2817. With 136 co-sponsors, this resolution represents a unified international demand that Iran cease its attacks. The Iranian regime nevertheless chooses to defy Resolution 2817 with continued attacks, both directly and through its proxies, against its neighbors and maritime shipping.
China has issued a fresh warning as tensions around the Strait of Hormuz reach a dangerous new level. Beijing is now demanding that one of the world's most important shipping routes remain open and safe for all commercial vessels. The statement comes after Iran effectively shut down normal commercial traffic through the strait following a new round of intense military exchanges with the United States. Speaking during a regular press briefing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Zhen said restoring security and free navigation through the strait is in the interest of every country. He also urged all parties to respond carefully to growing international concerns and said China is ready to engage with the countries involved. The reason this matters is simple. The Strait of Hormuz handles nearly 1/4 of the world's seaborne oil trade. Around 40% of China's oil imports also pass through this narrow waterway. Any disruption here has the potential to affect global energy prices and supply chains. The latest crisis follows major U.S. military strikes inside Iran. According to U.S. Central Command, around 140 military targets were hit using drones, aircraft, and naval assets. Iran responded by claiming attacks on U.S.-linked military sites across Jordan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and Oman. Following those attacks, Iranian authorities announced that commercial shipping through the strait is no longer operating normally. Only companies that receive approval through Iran's designated authority will be allowed to transit the route. The developments also threatened the fragile memorandum of understanding reached between Washington and Tehran just weeks ago. That agreement had created a 60-day window for negotiations aimed at securing a longer-term peace. Another issue adding to the tension is the dispute over transit charges. Iran has argued that ships using the strait should pay fees for safe passage. Reports earlier this year suggested that some internationally flagged vessels, including Chinese ships, had already begun paying what was described as a toll. Now, with commercial traffic restricted and military tensions rising once again, Beijing is making its position clear. China wants the Strait of Hormuz reopened, global shipping protected, and further escalation avoided before the crisis spreads far beyond the Middle East.
Hi, welcome to Taco Bell. What would you like today?
Are you paying attention?
They took the trees. Our fruit trees. They took the trees and sold us back the fruit. Then they took the water. Rivers, rain, springs that fed civilizations for thousands of years. Bottled it and sold it back to us. They took the land. Land that existed here long before any human drew lines around it. And they said, if you want to stand here, you better have a payment plan. Everything we need to exist, food, water, shelter, was already here. Nobody created it. But somehow, you were born owing for it. Am I the only one this drives mad? I mean, why is a free life such a crazy idea? Why does simply existing without bills, debt, or permission sound like a fantasy? Why in the hell did we ever let anybody convince us that this is the way things were supposed to be? They took the trees.
Funny how the character delivering this is literally chaos incarnate. Real pushback against the system comes from disciplined people who build parallel structures, teach their kids self-reliance, and vote for candidates who actually shrink the cage instead of expanding it. Now, this resonates because so many people feel trapped. Work more to pay more taxes, can't afford a house outright without the bank and the county owning pieces of it. The problem isn't government as a concept. It's the bloated, unaccountable administrative state that grows no matter who wins elections, right? They create the cage through regulations that favor big players and punish regular folks trying to build something. Smaller government and real accountability would fix a lot of this. Let me know if you agree in the comment section.
It may feel a little cooler over the next few days because of a new development, but I don't think you'll like that development. Let's go to meteorologist Lisa Meadows now with a new wrinkle with those wildfires up north.
That's right, Chris. The first summer smoke event of the season looks to be unfolding today. An air quality alert has been issued for the metro, western Wisconsin, up through the Arrowhead region. That goes through Friday morning. When it comes to the air sensors, right now up to the north, you can see we're just starting to pick up very unhealthy air in the Arrowhead region. Now, all of this smoke from the wildfires raging in the Boundary Waters is forecast to travel south across the state starting today. So that's bringing in this wildfire smoke, bringing it into the metro area as we go into tomorrow. So we anticipate impacts coming up here for your Wednesday and potentially as we head on into your Thursday as well. Now, here's a look at those categories. We have the red, which means unhealthy for everyone, including the metro. Then as you travel closer to where we have the wildfire smoke, we have very unhealthy for everyone in St. Louis, Carlton, Pine counties. Unhealthy for everyone through central Minnesota, the metro, and western Wisconsin. And then, of course, the hazardous is further up across the Arrowhead region. It's an unfortunate, rare situation having this smoke in conjunction with the heat.
What's unique about it is that the health impacts can be different. It can be worse. So the body has a harder time dealing with both of those stressors at the same time, as opposed to if it was just one at a time. And so that's one of the main concerns that we have with this event. It's hot out there. It's going to stay hot, and now we're adding in wildfire smoke into the mix, which is not good.
People at greatest risk are those who already have heart and lung problems, pregnant people, along with children and older adults. They'll want to minimize time outdoors during the alert, and everyone should take caution when it comes to exercising outside or doing hard manual labor in these conditions.
All right, tough timing, yeah, with a lot of trips up there this summer. Here's a look at that wildfire smoke that's causing concern. A view from our chopper shows that the air filled with smoke as flames burn through the Superior National Forest. At least 20 wildfires are burning up north right now. Officials say the crews are making progress, but the weather making some of them worse. About 150 firefighters are battling the flames from the air and the ground. Here you can see several aircraft scooping up water from a lake to use in that fight. The fires are spread across northern Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz says that he's worried there's a long summer ahead.
I think it's inevitable that we're going to see quite a few more, and I think we'll see some spread on this. I worry on the Canadian side too. I think we all recall the air quality index issues a few years ago, and we may be headed for that, but we'll see.
The Boundary Waters are now closed because of the wildfires, and new today, St. Louis County declared a local disaster emergency.
完了，我操，这折了一根，这可废了，这停电了得，我这都闯过来了，太他妈狠了，我这给高压线干折一根，这不废了吗？大火花打的咣咣，下一步就闯那个桥墩子了。
Tonight, relentless rainfall bringing dangerous flooding across a huge swath of South Texas. Powerful waters overtaking roads, forcing high water rescues. In Uvalde County, the Texas Game Warden says they helped the passengers in this vehicle escape just before the current carried it away. Watch as crews pull up on another vehicle stuck in raging waters, carefully peeking through the windows to make sure no one is inside. We managed to venture as far as here in the highest impact zone. Now you see the water overwhelming this side of the highway, is shutting down all of the traffic heading west from San Antonio. Parts of the area seeing up to a foot of rain. In Uvalde, these roads impassable, floodwaters submerging streets and surrounding businesses. In nearby Medina County, officials warning why travel may be especially dangerous tonight.
They're traveling at night and quickly come up on a low water crossing. Before they realize they're in it, they're swept off.
Meanwhile, widespread heat bakes millions across the country. In the Northeast, other dangers keeping beachgoers out of the water. In the New York City area, warnings of life-threatening rip currents. And in Massachusetts, dozens of beaches closed there because of elevated levels of bacteria in the water. While in the West, the heat fueling wildfires, including the Babylon fire in Utah, now burning more than 165 square miles. Back in Texas, families now bracing for heavy rain overnight that could make for more dangerous conditions tomorrow.
Let's pick it up right there. Ryan Chandler joins us now west of San Antonio. Ryan, that's the big fear, additional rain?
Yeah, that's right. You see the flooded street and field behind me, Tom. This whole region is just so saturated. Any heavy rain that falls overnight could cause dangerous flooding quickly. Tom.
Americans are facing another high-cost headache with the build-out of the artificial intelligence infrastructure pushing up prices for semiconductors and other electronic equipment, as well as electricity around the country. Many of the large tech companies such as Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are spending hundreds of billions of dollars building out data centers. And that's pushed up demand for semiconductor memory chips, which have in some cases quadrupled in price. That's then lifted the cost of laptops, video game consoles, and other consumer electronics. We've already seen announcements from Apple that iPads and some of the Mac laptops will go up in price as much as 15 to 25%. And Microsoft has said that its Xbox will soon be $100 more expensive. This new wave of inflation comes after other shocks, such as the tariffs that were imposed early last year, and then the increase in gas prices from the Iran war. And economists worry that while this AI shock won't be that large, certainly not compared to what we had after the pandemic when inflation shot to 9%, these higher prices for consumer electronics and electricity will keep inflation elevated at least through the end of this year.